on the Tal YouTube. I'm a Tal. I hope you're doing very well. Roll the intro.
Hold on. Wait a second. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah, that's the melody to Funky Town.
You heard the towel, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it is literally a towel. That's the melody to Funky Town. Now we're going to watch one more video to start the day. Why? Because before I go, my name's Grant Spadelis. Good morning. Before I go on a proselytizing rant, let's just give folks a reminder of who Lindsay Gattani is. All right? Because I have some things I want to say about the past few days. I have my sunglasses on. You can't see my eyes. I have some things I want to say. Okay, so let's watch this again. And I just want to start today by saying, for all the talk, for all the nonsense that goes on, you know what we never get to hear? You know what really bothers me? We never get to just hear Lindsay Gattani talk. So I'm going to start this stream today before I say anything, and we're just going to watch this press conference Lindsay Gattani gave to the entire Massachusetts media pool at the State House as she worked with other advocates, very brave advocates, in particular in the GOP, to get revenge porn banned in Massachusetts. So let's do that, and then we'll talk a little bit about what I have to say.
I'm here today to break my silence for the first time through public remarks. I'm sorry, I'm going to read through a pre-prepared statement. To begin, thank you, Madam Senate President, Mr. Speaker, members of the Senate, and members of the House. Your bold action to ban revenge porn and coercive control has given me the confidence to stand here today, and for that I am eternally grateful. So many of us over recent years have heard the phrase, revenge porn is legal in Massachusetts. It's been thrown around as if this is somehow an excuse for weaponizing the most intimate moments of a person's life as a form of emotional control and abuse. But today, lawmakers in both houses of this esteemed body have spoken with a unified voice and made clear that revenge porn is no longer legal in Massachusetts. And survivors like myself are the ones who can now hold our heads high in defiance of anyone who might seek to use revenge porn as a weapon. I want to stress, though, every day that passes before this bill is formally becomes law is for further agony for survivors. I encourage the Compromise Committee to get this legislation across the finish line as soon as possible. I heard it said once that whenever we stand against the flow of opinion on hotly contested issues, a woman does what she must, in spite of the personal consequences and dangers and pressures, for that is the basis of all human morality. If those words from a great human being who himself changed history still stand for anything, it is a profound principle that will be embodied when this legislation is quickly signed into law. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to use my voice. And I just want to let you know I cannot take any questions at this time, but I just want to thank everyone for allowing me to speak today.
Can you just say your name again and spell it?
Lindsay Gattani, Lindsey, and Gattani is Gaetani. Thank you. I'm here.
Now, let me just say, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I want to start this off is that we should be very clear that I believe that Aidan Kearney is in possession of these images, and part of the reason why the State House passed this law is because Lindsay Gattani and other survivors went up there and they spoke out about what people like Aidan Kearney were doing with sexualized pictures. There were 48 states as of 2024 that had banned revenge porn. Massachusetts had not. And if it weren't for the actions of Lindsay Gattani and other survivors, there are a number of them, some of whom you see in the background right there, I don't think that bill would have been passed as quickly as it did. And I asked the governor, ladies and gentlemen, I asked Madam Governor, after this bill was signed into law, if she had a message for anyone who might think about violating this law. Now, I'd like to show you that clip because I think it goes to something that's been going on over the past few days. We have a two-pronged attack right now going on Lindsay Gattani. One person attacking Lindsay Gattani is Kate Peter. Now, the way Kate Peter attacks people is under the ostensible veneer of helping them. You have to keep that context in mind. The second thing that we have going on is Aiden Turtleboy Kearney is continuing to attack Lindsay Gattani because Tim Bradel probably preemptively precluded Aiden Kearney from using any of the material from Lindsay Gattani's phone extraction by failing to comply with the... what rule is it? It's the rule where you have to return discovery material if the prosecutor says that it was turned over in error. I don't remember what it's called, but the point is, there's this rule that got invoked, and it was I was reading this document. I actually watched Melanie Little read the document that Lindsay Gattani had submitted in the Aiden Turtleboy Kearney case, and I had read it the other day, and I was listening to kind of an AI read it, but I didn't catch everything. And when Melanie Little read it, I saw in her face this reaction to one of these sentences about Bradel getting this sort of notice that Lindsay Gattani's unredacted cell phone extraction was turned over in error. Now, that is such a big deal, I think, and I think I saw it in Attorney Melanie Little's eyes, because that precludes the whole thing from coming in. Because it's the timeliness of the invocation, especially in writing, of the return provision, or whatever the hell it's called, of the discovery sort of structure in Massachusetts under the criminal case structure. So I don't think any of that phone extraction is coming in. I think the whole thing's going to get excluded because Bradel failed to comply with the return provision of the discovery rule, which is, I think, 14 or something. But the point is, that's what. So Aiden, I think, is pissed because Bradel's he's a jerk as a person, in my opinion, but he's not a dumb lawyer, and I think he probably realized that he foreclosed the use of all that evidence by failing to comply with the return instruction. Because there's a section, I don't know, some section, I remember it came up in the Alex Jones case, in particular the case about the Sandy Hook victims in Texas, and I remember this weird thing that happened where Alex Jones' lawyer forgot to turn over the Alex Jones' lawyer turned over all of his private stuff to the plaintiff's counsel in that case, and then forgot to invoke this sort of Texas structure. Massachusetts has a similar rule, which I think the prosecutors did invoke, and Bradel just ignored it. And so what that does is that it's like a reverse exclusionary rule. The punishment is Bradel uses the ability to lose the evidence. So, hey, Nanya, how you doing? I was going to put up a image on the screen when I saw Nunya next of Mike Crawford threatening to beat me violently, but I endure. I'm very endeared to Nunya, so I'm not going to do that right now. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Irene. Hello, Allie Bro. That is Lindsay Gattani indeed, and if you're wondering how many views that video got, it got 100, and the original view 160,000 views. Out of all the press conferences, Lindsay got far and away the most views that day. And it's not because you measure it that way, in my opinion. It's because Lindsay is a very intelligent, erudite, brave person who went up there in the State House in front of the entire media pool and gave a press conference. And what's going on is a couple things have happened. So yesterday, a bunch of documents came out revealing. So it actually goes back to last week, okay? But I want to start with the revenge porn, and then we're going to go, because I want to show you the question I asked Madam Governor. And look in Madam Governor's eyes when she answers this question. She doesn't want to hear people are violating this law after it got passed a few months later. I went to that press conference too. And then we're going to take it back to the beginning of this week, because there's all these strange things that started happening. All this withheld discovery material related to Brian Tully, Jen McCabe, Kate Peter starts coming out in Aiden Kearney's case, okay? And then documents get leaked on Thursday and Friday of this week indicating that there was a PI named Marty Kraft who definitely employed Kate Peter, and that Marty Kraft was getting state funds, at least in 2025, probably in 2024, probably in 2023. Now, I have other sources unrelated to all this Karen Reed and Turtleboy chaos that have told me, and they're good sources, okay? And whether you want to follow up on that reporting or not, I encourage people to do it. There are other sources who have told me that Marty Kraft was in Brian Tully's orbit as early as 2022. Okay, I have a very firm lead on that about Marty Kraft, the PI, going to people on Brian Tully's behalf in 2022. And you might say, why is that such a big deal? Well, guess what he was going to them about? Sandra Birchmore. Okay, Sandra Birchmore was a young woman in Canton, murdered by former Stoughton police officer Matthew Farwell, according to allegations by the federal government. A case that was investigated by Brian Tully, whose MSP partner for 20 years was John Fanning. John Fanning, along with Yuri Buchanan, both on Tully's unit when he was commander of the Norfolk DA CPAC unit, both of whom worked in Stoughton for many years prior to becoming members of the Norfolk District Attorney's Office CPAC unit. Okay, Tully was the unit commander. That whole unit is now gone, except for John Fanning. Okay, and what we have is a situation where there's people here who investigated Karen Read for John O'Keefe's death, and then didn't want that. They did it okay, like Proctor fucked it up a little bit. Sorry, screwed it up a little bit. But they did the investigation okay, and I really do believe Karen Read was responsible for John O'Keefe's death. Okay. But at the same time, this unit needed a lot of public support because I believe Karen Read's strategy during her defense as of August 2022 was to leak what's called derogatory information in the intelligence community world. Derogatory information about the Norfolk DA and their CPAC unit, in particular the Sandra Birchmore cover-up, which Karen couldn't really talk about from November of 2022 through May, August, November of 2023, and into 2024. But which she could hint at, and that's why what Turtle Boy and Karen were really leaking about was not that the John O'Keefe investigation was corrupted. It was that that unit was dirty. Okay, not in the O'Keefe and Reed case, in the Birchmore case. And that unit, to protect themselves, hired Marty Kraft's firm and Kate Peter to run in what's called interference online so that the narrative about the O'Keefe and Reed case wouldn't touch on how Tully's unit was dirty. Do you understand now what's going on and why Lindsay Gattani was such a liability to both Kate and Aiden? Because Lindsay Gattani would be able to expose both the wrongdoings by Tully's unit and the wrongdoings by Aiden. Neither Kate nor Aiden want that story out there, or Tully, or Pam Friedman, or Robert Cosgrove, or Ken Mello, or Michael Morrissey. And these fools, I mean, listen, I want to just, before we go into what Madam Governor said, I want to be very clear about my intentions and why I'm involved in this. I don't care about money. And to me, okay, I don't have to justify myself, but I'll just let you know I've given way more money than donations have come in for Lindsay to Lindsay's legal defense fundraise, and I'll continue to do that. I'm happy to give my own money to help support her. What I'm trying to show to people is that the reason why Lindsay Gattani got taken advantage of is because these people, Tully, Aiden, Kate, whatever, Marty Kraft, looked at her as a vulnerable single mother with no resources and no money. Do you know what someone like me is going to do if I feel like you're taking advantage of someone simply because of their socio-political orientation? I'm going to give them all my resources and all my connections. And I am a towel that, independent of my coverage of the Karen Read and John O'Keefe case, has been covering state and federal government for like 7 years. I got recruited by the DOJ antitrust section and turned them down. I'm a very well-connected person. I'm not flexing. It's not that I weaponize my connections like Kate Peter does, or Brian Tully, or Jen McCabe, in my opinion, or Aidan Kearney. No, I do the antithesis. I literally give them to people who I feel the system is trying to silence to ensure that there's an appropriate check and balance. And that's what we have to do in this situation. You're going to come to find out that Kate Peter has tried to directly interfere with almost every lawyer Lindsay Gattani has ever gotten. You're going to come to find out that this interference was sometimes so subversive as when to the point where when Lindsay opened a legal fundraiser with her friend and a third-party payee independent of Kate, Kate had Michael Gaffney donate $2,000 to the fundraiser and then publicly retract the $2,000 and spread a false lie that the fundraiser wasn't authorized. Why? Because Kate wasn't in control. Now, I don't want to be involved in whoever Lindsay retains as counsel, but that's the big issue here. The entire system in Massachusetts, through Brian Tully, through Pam Friedman, through Aidan Turtleboy Kearney, through God knows who else, okay, has been corrupted. It's been corrupted and it's been weaponized, even though it looks like people are going after Turtleboy and going after Karen Read. What they were really doing is the criminal cases against Aidan Kearney were pressure to get Kearney to flip on Karen Read in the context of a corollary or simultaneous or parallel investigation under 274-7 and 268-13 be for Karen Reed witness intimidating people in a conspiracy with Aiden. Okay, so that really was what was going on, and that's why Brian Tully was willing to have Kate Peter, in my opinion, handle evidence that got submitted to the grand jury. That's why Kate Peter wrote part of Aiden Kearney's October 2023 indictment. That's why Brian Tully was willing to manipulate Lindsay Gattani's unredacted cell phone extraction to remove messages from Tully to Lindsay and from Kate to Lindsay before he handed it over to Aiden. They never thought this case was going to go to trial. They didn't care. It's not that they were stupid about the rules of evidence. I don't even think Brian Tully's that dumb. Bright line reasoning. Come on, Brad, we give it to you for a reason. No, I think they did it on purpose because they knew, they never thought this evidence was ever going to be relevant because they thought Kearney would just flip. And they never thought this was going to go to trial, I swear, and they never, ever, ever intended on prosecuting Aiden Kearney. It was all designed to get him to flip. Does that mean he didn't do bad things? No, of course not. He's accused of doing very bad things. But what it means is that Kate Peter, mostly I think to help Jen McCabe and Brian Tully, who talk directly, all three of them, and have for a long time, kind of weaponize people and certain victims and compromise these cases at the expense of justice and the people who are impacted, and that's the story here. Okay, Kate Peter is the Michael Proctor of the Aiden Turtleboy Kearney cases, but much worse. Proctor got fired for doing way less than what Tully and Kate Peter did, and mark my words, when all the chips fall and when Brian Tully does get fired, if he's not already heading in that direction, the outline of those charges is going to be specifically that he relayed protected investigatory information to a non-authorized source in the form of Kate Peter, who was working as an undisclosed PI for Marty Kraft, and Kraft was getting state funds to work for Tully's MSP unit, okay? And so in this situation, we have a very, very, very fundamental reality, which is that if we do not give victims their own resources, that's why we need to support Lindsay Gattani's fundraiser. You can find the information in the description. If we do not give them lawyers who are independent of anyone but the interests of those victims, which we must do for Lindsay Gattani, and I mean me too. I don't plan on talking to any of these damn lawyers. I will pay through the third-party payee through donations for as much as I can. I will go bankrupt if I have to pay the third-party payee to pay these lawyers, okay? But we need to get Lindsay Gattani an independent lawyer who knows about Kate Peter and won't talk to her and violate their ethical obligations like some of the other lawyers have done that represented Lindsay but were really working for Kate or Aiden or God knows who. And then we need to tell them, that those lawyers, in my opinion, and through some kind of public messaging, about how Aiden Kearney is going to try to sabotage this as well, and the state police, because think about the liability here. It was Brian Tully who released Lindsay Gattani's unredacted extraction, and Nick Garino is a fact witness who knows for a fact that extraction was manipulated and was released by Brian Tully with messages removed from only Kate Peter to Lindsay and from Tully to Lindsay. That's constructive knowledge, right? Because there's a Celebrate record showing that the extraction had only those two things removed, but not all the other privileged information. That was under color of law, and I believe the intent and motive behind it was simply to give some fodder for the Turtle Riders so that they would pay less attention to Jen McCabe. Why do I believe that? Because prior to that, around the fall of 2023, and I'll show you this video too, Kate Peter spread a rumor that had never existed before about Colin Albert and Chris Albert selling drugs that also just happened to benefit Jen McCabe, because then the Turtle Riders still to this day talk about Chris Albert and Colin Albert selling drugs. And here's the insight. When Kate spread that rumor, did she go out and say, hey, I'm going to go spread this rumor and this will help Jen McCabe? No, people would not listen to it. What she did was say, hey, I'm trolling Aiden Kearney to show he'll believe anything, and then presented it under that context. Okay, Kate Peter last night on Friday released a bunch of information that she probably learned under color of law with Brian Tully's help while Kate was working for Marty Kraft as a PI about ongoing potentially SA investigations related to Lindsay Gattani. She did it without consent, she did it in a malicious way, and she did it because all of this house of cards and the fact that Kate compromised these cases and is now not going to get to star in this Netflix documentary. Remember, Kate got close to Gretchen Voss and the people involved with the Netflix production, Zora and all those other people, so that Kate could make sure the narrative that they presented in that documentary did not touch on what Tully's unit did regarding Sandra Birchmore and Lindsay Gattani and what Kate did by working for Marty Kraft. That was the scam, in my opinion, okay? And Gretchen almost fell for it. I'm a little bit worried she's still going to go along with it because she's cornered, but I think the powers that be are probably going to realize this is going in a bad direction, and presenting Kate as the Charlotte of the internet is the stupidest idea possible when there's all this underlying evidence of what her and Tully were doing, regardless as to the investigatory integrity of the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed case, okay? That's what's going on. Proctor was leaking to Kate, Tully was leaking to Kate, Jen McCabe was leaking to Kate, God knows who was leaking to Kate, all right? And just as many people were leaking to Aiden. And they're all caught up in this now because all they had to do, and I've said this before, was not involve Kate Peter in the handling of any of this evidence. The evidence has integrity. The evidence can be presented. God, I'm willing, hopefully, if this gets dismissed, all these cases against Kearney for governmental misconduct under Odell, I'm not a lawyer, this is not legal advice, it's without prejudice, so that they can refile and build the chain of custody correctly with a new MSP unit that doesn't give a fuck about Kate Peter or Jen McCabe and doesn't compromise the integrity of the presentation of the evidence. People think that I'm angry about this because it somehow is a personal thing. It's not. You replace any person with Kate Peter, replace any person with Brian Tully. It's not what they do personally. It's the integrity of the investigatory process. The justice system is built around the kind of prosecutorial discretion that is so important. And just like literally being discreet and using your discretion. Okay? Both of those things are fundamental to the integrity of the justice system, and we have a situation here where whatever the case with the investigation of John O'Keefe and Karen Reed, the investigation of Turtle Boy was weaponized. Lindsay Gattani's interests were just completely used as a plaything, and the state primarily, I don't even know how much they knew, Michael Morrissey and all those actors, became the personal prosecution office of a private citizen, Jen McCabe, a private citizen working as a PI in Kate Peter and Brian Tully, okay, completely inappropriately and to the detriment of the integrity of these cases and the voices of the victims who were impacted. And now you see why Kate Peter has a motive to make sure that Lindsay Gattani doesn't get independent support. Kate orders her people not to support Lindsay, to attack her, okay? That's what's going on. The more we talk about it, the more we directly address it, the more we can confront this, because it will look like Kate's supporting Lindsay. It looked like Kate was just trolling Aiden Kearney about Chris Albert and Colin Albert selling drugs, but she wasn't, okay? Now, I just want to, let's go to this, then let's go to the governor's press conference, and then let's talk a little more. I'm only going to do this until 10 o'clock, then we will calm down, and I will watch trivia. We will play trivia, and I will talk about... and we'll watch Sherlock Holmes. But right now, we're going to start with this, okay? We're going to just go right ahead, and we're going to watch this video because I think a lot of you, I've seen some of your eyes open wide when I play this video, and the reason why I want to play it again today is I don't think no one will answer to this. No one will answer why Kate Peter did this to Chris Albert and Colin Albert, and I think when you look at it in hindsight, it's the same reason why Brian Tully released Lindsay Gattani's phone extraction, okay? It was specifically and intentionally to provide a public distraction to help Jen McCabe. That's why this whole thing is really fucked up, because it was less about justice and more about just helping Jen McCabe not be bullied in public. Now, I don't think Jen McCabe should have been bullied in public for the nonsensical stuff Karen was saying. But whatever the fuck Jen McCabe is hiding, I don't really know. I don't want to fucking know. I don't care what you do in your social life. It's just her motives here, in my opinion, fucked up the whole Aiden Kearney case, along with Kate Peter, along with Marty Kraft, along with Brian Tully, and that's why I'm incredulous. Lindsay deserves justice. The people who, even Jen McCabe deserves justice, but she bit off her nose to spite her face, because whatever the fuck these people were doing was like a version of those, like, that PI mom show, Trainwreck PI Moms, that Netflix has been putting up. That's really why this all went astray, because these people who didn't understand the rules of evidence were out there like marauding as I use this word lightly, vigilantes, in order to try to get involved in the prosecution of Aiden Kearney, in particular Kate Peter, Brian Tully, and Jen McCabe. Now, you might say, how could Brian Tully be a vigilante? Because he was up against the wall. Like, he was up against Karen's PR team, Josh Levy, Rachel Rollins, Aiden Kearney, and they all felt cornered. They needed money from the legislature to fight that thing. So what are you going to do when Aiden Kearney's coming at you as well? Okay, you're going to deploy someone like Kate Peter, who's basically a version of Aiden Kearney masquerading as a victim's advocate. That's exactly what they did, and they did it for personal reasons at the expense of this case, when this case would have been valid whether or not Kate Peter was involved. So it has nothing to do with her involvement. It's that she and Tully and Jen McCabe either didn't understand or didn't care about the rules of evidence and thought there were going to be no consequences because the exclusionary rule and Odell were never going to even come into play because this case was just designed to get Aiden to flip. And then when it all came crashing down, it's now Lindsay Gattani and the other victims who are screwed because Kate Peter, Jen McCabe, and Brian Tully treated what should have been a legitimate prosecution like a plaything, in my opinion. Do you see why this has all gone so astray? Okay, and then Aiden, this is where it gets even worse. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about any details that have not already been publicly discussed. The Norfolk DA released in violation of law, okay, the Norfolk DA's office, a retracted SA report about Aiden Kearney. Okay, it never should have been given to him. It was given to him probably by Brian Tully. That never should have been given to him. It's privileged, protected during an SA investigation. You can read, I'm not a lawyer, this is not legal advice, read Rule 412 of the, or 812 of the evidence rules, the special character rule. You cannot do anything with that kind of stuff. You can't give it to the perp. You can't use it in discovery. You can't even mention it at trial. It's explicitly prohibited. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice under the special character evidence rule, which is like 812 or something. Okay, go read that rule if you don't believe me. It's whether it's 812 or not, the special character evidence rule, it has a title that references SA because you're not allowed to give defendants that kind of discovery material. The Norfolk DA gave it to him inappropriately and in violation of law. Aiden Kearney then posted about it and had his version. Lindsay Gattani responded, Aiden Kearney sued her. Okay? Now she's being sued in civil court, and yesterday she lost an early preliminary motion to dismiss under the anti-SLAPP statute. That is why she needs support. She cannot rely on Kate Peter for support because Kate Peter and Brian Tully have a motive to cover up the extraction being leaked and all the stuff that Kate was doing to torment Lindsay for Jen McCabe, in my opinion. And then, okay, you have a situation where Aiden Kearney also has his moles that try to get close to Lindsay. So finding a lawyer is going to be, it's not, people will do it for money, but you have to find a lawyer who literally gets screened and signs an agreement like saying that they won't talk to Kate Peter and Aiden Kearney and compromise the client's confidentiality and all of that, in my opinion, because we have so many examples of Kate interfering, and Natalie for that matter, in attempts by Lindsay to get lawyers. That's fucked up. That's obstruction of justice, in my opinion. We have like some serious wrongdoings going on here, and absent this community right here, there is no one who's going to support Lindsay Gattani. I'm telling you right now, Kate Peter's ordering her people not to do it. Kate Peter's tormenting her. Jen McCabe's probably ordering them people not to support her, so we have to do it. Okay, it falls to us, and we will do it. I won't stop. Months. We'll do fundraisers as often as we want. Lindsay was in this chat the other day. You all have listened to her voice. You know how amazing a person she is. She is worthy of this support to protect her own interests. Independent and unconditional support related to anything else. Forget about me. Forget about anyone else. She deserves it because of who she is, what she's been through, and the fact that no one's going to protect her interests unless we give her the money to do so. So therefore, I feel like we should continue to do that. Now, if you would be so kind, please do consider visiting Lindsay Gattani's Give, Send, Go fundraiser, which is, of course, located in the description of the Towel chat. Now, I'm going to go ahead and link that for you right now. Okay, it is Give, Send, Go /GEFJ, all uppercase, GEFJ4. All right, so if you would be so kind. And Lindsay's so wonderful, you know what I'm saying? I'm hoping one day, maybe she'll be willing to come on, and she doesn't have to comment on anything, but just to say thank you to you all, because I'm sure, I saw her in the chat the other day, she sees your positive comments. She knows that this is one of the groups of people out there who support her unconditionally. We don't tolerate any nonsense towards Lindsay here, and that's because nobody in this situation, not Turtle Boy, not Kate Peter, not Brian Tully, not Jen McCabe, and not the Norfolk DA's office cares about Lindsay Gattani. So it falls to us, and we will do it. It's not an obsessive thing. It's not a compulsive thing. It's a justice-based thing. If Lindsay Gattani had millions of dollars, I would still be talking about this, but I would not be dedicating my soul to making sure that she has the resources, connections, knowledge, and influence to be able to ward off the usurpation of our representative forms of government, as happened to her at the expense of her children and her family and her private information and the godforsaken laws, statutory precedent, and case law of the Commonwealth. Okay? Brian Tully was flagrantly violating common law duties, flagrantly violating statute, flagrantly violating federal law, and he felt like no one was going to hold him accountable. And Lindsay Gattani was his target because he thought she wasn't a player. Oops! She might not be, but I can make her one. Gladly. Even if she doesn't want to be involved in my life, I'll still make her one just to spite you, motherfucker. She is going to become a member of the aristocracy, and you are going to respect her, and I'm just going to continue to give her resources until you do. Okay? It doesn't have to be me. I'm going to give her resources. I don't care who I have to go to, or what door I have to knock on, or which door I have to open. Eventually, you're going to realize that Kate Peter, Brian Tully, and Turtle Boy were doing evil things, and Lindsay Gattani was weaponized and victimized. Okay, so we all support Lindsay Gattani. Everybody hates Kate Peter. Everybody hates Brian Tully. Most people hate Aidan Kearney, but you don't have to for these purposes. It's okay. Okay, but we all want to support Lindsay Gattani. See what I mean? Like, if you were in that position and you got taken advantage of by people who you thought you could trust because they were state police officers, or Kate Peter, it went very manipulative, in my opinion, or Aidan Kearney, also very like Kate Peter, and then you got screwed, and then you were left holding the bag, you would be praying that there was some community of people out there who would say, you know what, that girl deserves support unconditionally, and just so that she can fight on a level playing field. In fact, let's give her so much power and influence that they have to answer to her. See what I'm saying? All right? Everybody got the plan? Are we all on board? Everybody understand what we're doing? So let me just make my point before I show Governor Healy. Let me make my point here about Kate Peter. Tell me what the rationale was and what the justification for this video was, if not to provide public fodder for the Turtle Riders to distract them from Jen McCabe at a time when nothing else was working, quote unquote.
This was 100% a fabrication out of my own mind. It is not rooted in reality at all. I sent this just to fuck with Aidan to prove that he does not vet information at all.
Oh, so go ahead and read the Give, Send, Go link, folks, that Lindsay has posted twice on there. I saw someone asking in the chat if they could read a little bit more background. I would be happy to read from the Give, Send, Go if that's what you want me to do first, because folks are asking. I do think this video is important because it shows kind of Kate Peter's subversion. But let me go ahead and bring up that Give, Send, Go link, and let's just read Lindsay's most recent update. All right, folks, so let's get people on the same page, and let's all just make sure we understand what Lindsay needs help with. It's obviously an ongoing civil case where she filed a police report after the Medfield police found evidence that was very serious regarding Aidan Kearney sending Lindsay a video where there was sexual intercourse occurring where she was not in a state where she alleges she was able to consent. So as a result of that, Aidan Kearney eventually sued her. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Now you might be saying, oh my God, that should not be possible. Well, it is. I'm very sorry to inform you that for some reason, I think it's Tim Bradle's friend or partner, David Heinlein, a lawyer was willing to file a lawsuit. I'm sure it was hard to find one on Aidan Kearney's behalf, despite the fact that in open court a few weeks ago or months ago, I heard it said that this investigation by the Medfield police is potentially still open. So you have someone who literally, the police were investigating Aidan Kearney. He gets a report, from the Norfolk DA inappropriately about an SA report. Okay, with the victim has nothing to do with any of this report getting handed over. Aidan posts about it on social media to get ahead of it. I don't know. He just posts about it, and then other people post about it, and then Lindsay responds to what they're posting because she wants the Medfield police apparently to do something, and not just why is this report out there? Why is he smearing this victim during an ongoing investigation? And then he sues her. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. So yes, don't if you want to donate, there are a few ways to do it. We've done this in the past, and not only have I forwarded all donations to the third-party payee or to the legal fund, but I'll give my own if I have to. If you want to donate, the best way to do it is to go to the Give, Send, Go. Okay, so we can see Lindsay Gattani's most recent update on the screen. I'm going to take my sunglasses off here so I can read it. And let's just listen, okay? I wish Lindsay had a way to say this. I don't want to speak for her, but because she wrote it, it's signed by her, I can give you her most recent update, okay? January 21st, 2025. Yeah, Super Chats take a big cut. So if you want to donate, 2 ways to do it. If you send a donation to me, okay, on my Venmo, my Cash App, or anything else, please write in it Lindsay. It doesn't, if you can write for Lindsay, you can write for Lindsay with hearts, Lindsay donation. I then take all those, I denote them. I can't give them to Lindsay directly. That's not how the fundraiser works. I can give them to the third-party payee, and then I donate them, okay? Now, what I would like folks to do is, if you want to support this fundraiser, take a listen to what Lindsay said on January 21st, 2025. This is Lindsay's only authorized, approved official fundraiser, and this is one of the few, I've never heard of a situation like this where there's an allegedly open criminal investigation and the perp is suing the victim actively. Mind you, she's a named victim in corollary independent criminal cases with this man. Okay, so she lost her preliminary motion to dismiss which is under the anti-slap or something statute, and now the case will, however it will play out, whatever her lawyers, if she gets them, need to do, this is what we need to help her with. Okay, so this is her authorized fundraiser. It's run by a third-party payee, who then Lindsay authorizes payments from the third-party payee to the legal fund. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with here. It's over $3,000 now. I think we are at $3,025. That's great, folks. I'm so glad to see we broke that $3,000 barrier overnight. If we can get Lindsay up to $10,000, $15,000, that's a good civil team, okay, for the initial part of this process. If we get her up there, I know it's going to be hard, all right? I never really asked you to commit to something like this, but if you read her words, you saw her speaking at the State House. This is a real person. This is someone whose interests have been violated, whose trusts have been violated on so many occasions by people she thought she could trust. The best way to give her any hope is to just give her the independent resources without any input from Kate Peter or Brian Tully or Aidan Kearney's moles as to how the money gets spent. Therefore, she can retain an independent legal team who has the vociferous, righteous vengeance in their souls to hold all of these people accountable without fear or favor, okay? So it's incredibly important, because otherwise Kate Peter or Michael Gaffney or Brian Tully or all these people will try to get in Lindsay's orbit, so either she can't get counsel to appropriately defend herself, or worse, the counsel that she does get is completely ineffective and it's a money grab, siphoning resources that Lindsay's able to raise so that Lindsay can't have an effective defense, okay? That's the most dangerous part. One of the fundraisers that Kate ran for Lindsay, Kate, she tried to not disperse like $7,000. When she was finally forced to, she took a loan. She got a loan, which was actually a gift from a prosecutor she knows in the Midwest. Kate ended up getting $16,000 off an $8,000 fundraiser for Lindsay. $8,000 of those dollars went to a lawyer who I'm sure Kate knew, who didn't do a damn thing. Okay? Got paid in full, thousands of dollars, did basically nothing. All right? Why? Because it was a fucking scam for Kate. Lindsay didn't even know. That's why I'm saying it was like the difference between pro wrestling and boxing is that pro wrestling is a work where both people involved know it's a work. A work is when it's a rigged outcome. You know who didn't know any of this was a work? Lindsay Gattani, and she got screwed over and over and over and over. And when Lindsay Gattani tried to run her own fundraiser, Kate even screwed her on that by having Gaffney donate that $2,000 and then withdraw it, and then apparently tell his credit card company or something that it wasn't an authorized fundraiser, okay? And then he went out in public and talked about people eating semen from Lindsay's rectum, okay? This is Kate Peters' friend, Michael Gaffney, who tried to destroy this fundraiser with Kim Fair's help and Kate Peters' help on false grounds that it was not authorized, and then went out in public and started talking about people eating semen from Lindsay's rectum. Do you understand how sick Kate Peter, Michael Gaffney, and Kim Fair have to be in the head to do that to the fundraiser, and then the way they celebrate is Gaffney goes out in public and talks about people eating semen from her rectum? What the fuck? Okay, tell me how I'm supposed to react to that by saying anything other than what the fuck. If that happened to you, you would say what the fuck. Especially from people you thought were your friends and could trust you and are trying to get in your orbit, not to help you, but to undermine your case because they have liability. it's fucked 6 ways from Sunday, and this woman, Lindsay Gattani, deserves our help unconditionally. Not because we want to focus on her, not because we have ulterior motives, not because we want to protect Brian Tully or Aidan Kearney or Kate Peter or anyone else, but because we want to protect her interest unconditionally, which means you give it to her and you let her pick how she defends herself, and you make sure whoever she gets knows and is openly talking about how dangerous Kate Peter is and Brian Tully. Of course Kate Peter and Brian Tully are going to get sued. Come on. In my opinion, they are two of the biggest people at fault here. You have to think about but-for causation. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. But for Brian Tully releasing that extraction, Aidan Kearney and Jason Broyles can't promulgate it. They're all liable. No qualified immunity for that. That's a crime, in my opinion. And forget the civil liability. They should be federally indicted for what they did. And Aidan Kearney should, frankly, in my opinion, also face federal charges. Maybe he's being investigated. I don't know. Okay? They all did bad things. But the point is, like, the fact that only Lindsay Gattani is fighting a lawsuit is specifically designed to strip her of resources so that she can't sue the state police, she can't sue Kate Peter, she can't sue Brian Tully, she can't sue Pam Friedman, she can't sue Ken Mello and Robert Cosgrove and the Norfolk DA, because they're going to have to settle that right away. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. There's so much liability there. They're going to have to settle right away. Governor Healy's going to be like, what the fuck did you do to this woman? Governor Healy's and the AG are the ones who are going to review it, and they're going to be like, what the fuck did you do to this woman? Fuck all of you. And they're going to pay her out, in my opinion. All right? And they don't want her to get to that stage, so we have to give her all the money to get to that stage. Then she's in control. Nobody's trying to burn these people's lives down. They just did bad things, and you aren't allowed to obstruct justice to prevent Lindsay Gattani from getting a lawyer so she can defend her interest. Like, that's fucked up, Kate. What the fuck are you doing? Like, you too, Michael Gaffney. Like, Gaffney was barred at one point as a lawyer. He may still be barred. These people are flagrant, and they got IC connections on the state level, which is why they think they're above the law. Listen, we can't have this. It's worse than any of the federal charges I've seen by U.S. Attorney Leah Foley's office that have come down so far, and she's got to do something. She's got to. I have faith. But if she doesn't, these people are going to keep running rampant. They control all the lawyers. They have connections to the judges, to all the Democrats. Aidan Kearney's a liberal, in my opinion. Kate Peter pretends to be a member of the GOP. She's really just whatever the fuck will help her the most. And she was working with the liberals on this, all right? And only Leah Foley can take these people down because they have connections everywhere, okay? If I didn't have my own connections, I am sure they would have messed with me a lot harder. Okay, but there's a certain point where you're like, all right, whoever the fuck he's talking to, I don't want him to talk to them about me. Yeah, that's probably a good inductive, insight. But I'm going to give that to Lindsay Gattani because she deserves it. Okay, she doesn't have to answer to me. She doesn't need my help or input. She's a very brilliant human being who can do her own thinking. She's genius. She's a genius. You can read the stories about her in the news. She went from experiencing homelessness to graduating nursing school as a valedictorian. She's like a G. It's just she's like everyone else going through a transition from the old world to the new digital world. Like both her and I were born in around similar time. Like, it's a fucked up world. Okay, so we were trying to find our way. She's a genius. She's doing really well. She deserves our support. Okay? Doesn't matter that Kate Peter doesn't want her to have support and won't share the fundraiser because she can't control it. Doesn't matter that Brian Tully doesn't want her to have support, or the Norfolk DA's office doesn't want her to have support because they have their own liability. Doesn't matter that Turtle Boy doesn't want to have her support because, frankly, I think he's a little brokenhearted and jilted and too rich for his own good. But you know what? It matters that we want to support her, and that's what we can do. So let me read this. Thank you. And that's what's unfortunate. So many people, unfortunately, are not able to hear this narrative because it's so intense. And then imagine how, we talk a lot about victims on this stream, and there's some very sensitive content. Imagine how victims may feel when, just because the moments get intense, they lose all support, or because someone did something to them that someone's friends with, they lose support. We can't do that to people. Nope, we can't. I won't. I don't mind if people do. Like, obviously, trigger warnings apply. this content can have resonances for people in ways that's not directly related to it, just like any case. When we cover some very serious criminal cases, I won't mention any specific ones, but we are talking about crimes that impact people indirectly too. Loss of loved ones, very violent crimes in some cases. And we do speak about it with a reverence that I think reflects the dignity of the proceedings, but we can't bury our heads in the sand. I'm sorry, there's a balance, and I understand some people, for their own reasons, it's hard to listen to. But this voice, this story, these are her words. These matter. Now, the story, the thank you note is not graphic. Okay, some of the context, because I can't do anything about the fact that Aidan Kearney filed that lawsuit. The lawsuit is what it's about. I have to describe what he filed the lawsuit about in order, and what the ruling was about. I didn't even put the ruling up on the screen because it's very graphic, but I have to describe it because, as Allie was rightfully saying earlier, well, okay, like some of us are learning Lindsay's story, but why should we support her? This is why. It doesn't, and I'm using the word SA, I'm intentionally withholding details, and I didn't use the words that Mike Gaffney used on social media. I used words that were much more respectful, still profane, but much more respectful. I had to convey the weighty nature of what Michael Gaffney, a lawyer, said about a victim on social media, okay, ostensibly someone who wanted to help her, okay? But this is the reality. We must confront it. We must stare into it. We must not become that monster. Not scolding anyone today. I would not do that. We must stare into that abyss without allowing it to consume us. Otherwise, people like Lindsay Gattani are the ones who will go unheard because they don't have the PR firms, they don't have the money, they don't have the resources. And is that not what we're all about? The true nature of the unheard is not who can hire a PI firm, who can get a PR firm, who can run accounts on social media for them. No, it's people who, on their principle, on their experience, on their victimization, deserve a voice. And I'm going to give them that voice. I've done it with other stories. This is more than a story. I don't think some people understand. Regardless of what Lindsay wants to do with their life, I care very much about this person. It would be like stealing from my mother or slapping my nana. I am committed to this with my entire soul. I don't think folks understand. It's not a personal thing. It's not anything like that. She's a wonderful person. It is just what was done to her was so wrong, so egregious, that in all my coverage of the CCC, in all my coverage of different elements of government, in all my coverage of different cases, I have never seen anything as egregious as what was done here. There is nothing I've talked to multiple people in different federal agencies, and current and former. I have talked to multiple people, current and former, in state agencies. No one has ever heard of anything like this with her cell phone extraction, or that's just one thing no one has ever heard of, not to mention the released SA report by the Norfolk DA that was completely in violation of law. Not to mention the civil lawsuit as a result of that getting leaked and then him commenting about it and then her commenting back. No one has ever heard of anything like it, okay? I'm telling you, this is unprecedented. You are seeing something that is eventually going to be a very big story. Forget that, though, okay? The important part is not who tells the story. That is the most irrelevant part of this. The most important part is that the voice of the people who went through this, in particular Lindsay, are centered, and that her interests are protected by people who care about her unconditionally and are not going to try to undermine this process because they did something wrong. Okay? And that's what we can do for her. And we're going to do it. She deserves that liberation. She deserves happiness. She deserves to be able to spend time with her family and not think about this bullshit. That's what we're going to give her. And you can try to stop me, but I have a lot of friends. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little town. And we're just going to keep giving her resources until she plays on the level that they do. All right? And that's what's fair. Fair is fair. All right? Now, yes, we have to, it's like the guy Schlepp with Roblox, okay? Schlepp got banned by Roblox because he was hunting predators. He was a good guy. The internet, he was like overmatched, you know what I'm saying? Because Roblox is a $1 billion company. People like me and others from the very beginning backed Schlepp right away, jumped right on social media. Then the Louisiana Attorney General filed suit against Roblox. Then the Congress got involved. And now Schlepp has a law firm for free representing his interests so that he can do his important work, have a comfortable life in the sense that he doesn't have to be tormented by this multi-billion-dollar apparatus that's very powerful, that's suppressing him. And you know why? It wasn't because of just Schlepp. Schlepp's a great guy. I've talked to him. He's a really good guy. He was going to come on and do an interview before the world collapsed around him. He's a really good guy, okay? And this Roblox situation is a good example. Do you think Roblox would ever have held itself accountable? No. Do you think Brian Tully would ever have held himself accountable? No. Do you think Turtle Boy would ever have held himself accountable? No. Do you think Kate Peter would have ever held herself accountable? No. But what we can do is help hold those people accountable. And listen, you don't want to, if some of you feel uncomfortable about it, that's okay. All right. I'm not judging anyone because they think that someone was involved, might have had good motives for doing bad things. I don't judge you for it. I was maybe there once, not about this situation, but I was there in my moral development at one point. I don't condemn you. I think you should still support Lindsay. But anyway, so just to be clear, this fundraiser by Lindsay is the only authorized fundraiser, and this is Lindsay's words that I'm going to read out now. But yes, what's going on? Yes, Vicky. Yeah, Vicky. So I just want to be clear. I censored that comment and did not put it on the screen. Michael Gaffney is a lawyer who is friends with Kate Peter. He donated $2,000 to this fundraiser, then lied about it, took the money away, and then went on social media and made a comment that did not involve the words that I used. I want to be clear, I censored them. He made the most disgusting comment, sexual comment, about Lindsay that I have ever seen on social media, and that's saying something because the Turtle Boy alt accounts and the fans say a lot of bad stuff. So, Vicky, I would appreciate if you didn't keep repeating it. You've definitely made your point, but I'm just trying to tell you that what you're really upset about is that Michael Gaffney, a lawyer who knows Kate Peter, used sexual language about Lindsay Gattani after he donated $2,000 to her fundraiser, found out that it was real, yet still went around saying that it was not authorized. So I appreciate it. Yeah, if Kate comes in here, just get rid of her. I don't need her. She put out an order on Kevin's channel that people couldn't mention towels, and then it caused people to get bullied. So yeah, Kate Peter can absolutely be banned the second she shows up. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I think it's very important, Vicky, that you understand that it's not me gratuitously saying that. I am as upset as you that it was said, and it would be a violation of my due diligence if I didn't describe to you why I am upset about it. So I don't want you to think that I plan on continuing to repeat this, nor do I want you to continue to repeat it in chat. But that's why I am upset. You should be upset too. It was wrong for Michael Gaffney to do that. Okay, that comment was grotesque. It was sexualized. It was about an SA victim. It was about someone he had just basically, in my opinion, taken $2,000 from on false pretense after donating it at Kate Peter's instruction to hurt her. So yes, Vicky, I'm upset, and you should be too. I appreciate. Yeah, Vicky, damn right. But do you want to see the? You know what? No, I don't want to do it. Vicky, do you want to see the actual comment? It's so much worse. Vicky, it is so much worse. He didn't use the word that starts with the R that I said, R-E-C. He didn't use that word. Vicky, he used terrible sexually charged language. So yes, I censored it, and that was, as strange as it may sound to you, that was a toned down reliance of that. So of course, Steph, anytime. And same thing, yeah, Vicky, I appreciate your input, but just know that, like, I'm telling you, I self-censored, and I am as upset as you that Michael Gaffney said that. Okay, it's not, don't shoot the messenger. I am upset that he said that. That's why I talked about it. But yes, yeah. All right, let's listen to Lindsay's thank you letter, and then please consider donating to the fundraiser. The link is givesendgo.com/GEFJ, all uppercase, number 4. All right, so let's go ahead and read this. January 21st, 2025. Thanks, Steph. I want to thank everyone who has been kind. Okay, hold on, Vicky and Lisa. Let's just drop this now. It's everybody's okay. Don't make me get Peep Towel. Peep Towel's hanging out. Everything is okay. I know that this is a sensitive subject. Everything is okay. All right. Everybody understands that what Michael Gaffney said was wrong. I was very clear that I censored it in a way that I was trying to be respectful, but I also hear what Vicky's saying. It's so profane, there's almost no way to describe it that doesn't involve, intense feeling. So I'm listening to everyone, and I just want to know everyone is okay and we can move on. Okay? Oh yeah, Allie. Don't get me wrong. We have seen some of the attacks on the innocent children of the Reed trial witnesses, just like we saw attacks on Lindsay's children, just like we saw attacks on other vulnerable people. You are absolutely right. Vicky, you are absolutely welcome to. Vicky, this is one of those things that made me realize what Michael Gaffney said in that moment was so offensive that even relaying it can have a traumatizing impact. So Vicky, even as you take your leave, come back anytime, my friend. You know we love you here. Just remember, imagine how Lindsay felt, okay? Just you hearing a censored version of that, okay? Think about those feelings, and then think about how if you were Lindsay, reading the actual words, which are much more gross and much more sexual, would have felt, okay? I want to thank everyone who has been kind. This is Lindsay's words from January 21st, 2025. I'm reading from her fundraiser. Allie earlier had a question about, why are we donating? Can we hear what Lindsay had to say? So let's listen to the thank you note. I want to thank everyone who has been kind enough to donate to this fundraiser. The messages and prayers that you have sent have given me strength and hope to keep going. I read them over and over, especially in recent weeks, when it's become difficult to see the sun through the clouds. It means more to me than you will ever realize. I want to specifically thank my small circle of friends who have been the subject of personal attacks simply for organizing this fundraiser and standing up for the truth. They gain nothing by trying to help me, and certainly don't deserve the onslaught of harassment they've received, and I will always remember these friends who have stood by me in my darkest times when there was zero benefit for them doing so. She leads off not about herself. She's one of the most selfless people you'll ever meet. Which brings me to something that I need to address. This is, and always has been, the official and only fundraiser created in my name. There is much more that I would like to say and address, but right now I'm going to leave it at that. I will not engage or reciprocate in the disappointing behavior that has been taking place. Most intelligent people can see what's happening anyway. This past year has taught me a lot. I've seen the absolute worst of humanity. My children and I have been the subject of vicious harassment and complete lies, betrayals from bad actors who pretended to be my friends, deception from people who never had my best interests in mind, death threats and wishes of harm, disappointment in people whose job it is to protect and uphold the law, and frustration with the justice system. What I've come to learn is not about justice at all, but rather about who you know and what strings you can pull. Weeks before my latest hearing to renew my restraining order, I had decided to step back from social media. This has been the best thing for my mental health. I will not be returning, at least not for the foreseeable future. I can't change the opinions of people who have no interest in the truth. I know who I am. My children know who I am. We know what we've experienced. And I know what I stand for. The people who have intentionally hurt us will have to answer to God someday. I've experienced a lot in my life, but I was blessed with an amazing gift, the ability to persevere even in the toughest of times. Giving up, though it often crosses my mind during moments of weakness, is just not in my blood. If you have the ability to donate, every dollar helps. I intend to continue the fight against evil with everything in me and teach my children the importance of standing up to bullies. Public smears and lies by heartless people who take pleasure in the suffering of others will not deter me. If you're not in a position financially to donate, please consider a prayer. The power of prayer is real. Thank you for all of you who show compassion, empathy, selflessness, and a desire to see good to triumph over evil. The truth will eventually be told, and those who have intentionally caused harm to others will be held accountable. In this lifetime by means of the law, or in the next lifetime when they face God himself. With all gratitude and love in the world, Lindsay. Then she quotes Luke 23:34, and Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And then, wow. And then edited to add, at this point in time, this is and has been the only fundraiser. There have been rumors swirling that this fundraiser was not approved by me. See, I told you, Vicky. Or that there was another fundraiser created by someone else. This message is to clarify that currently this is the only one and it has been approved. There have been 2 fundraisers in the past. One for the hearing in which someone tried to vacate my RO. An attorney was retained and paid an $8,000 retainer. The unused retainer was returned at the conclusion of his representation. So she paid him $6,000. That was that lawyer who was useless. $2,000 was then rolled over towards the next attorney who represented me for the Rule 17 hearing. She charged a flat fee of $4,000. I also don't think she did very much. I mean, she showed up, but both those were Kate people. The $2,000 unused retainer from the previous attorney was put towards her. Then an additional $2,000 was raised, and there are no unused funds left over. So for this fundraiser, she was starting at zero. So her previous Rule 17 lawyers, they got paid in full. Thousands of dollars. They were useless because they were Kate people and trying to protect the Norfolk DA and Brian Tully and Kate, in my opinion. But Lindsay's starting at zero. And you can help by sharing this fundraiser as well. Thank you. Isn't she a super towel, ladies and gentlemen? Never met anyone like her in my life. I mean, that's why I try not to be like weird about it. I'm like, bro, like she can do whatever the fuck she wants. That's what makes it so special. Like, I'm trying to give her autonomy. I don't want to control what she fucking does. Like, you don't understand how special she is. Like, the only reason, like I have said before, there is a Michelangelo on every street corner in Rome. Do you know how many Einsteins have died paupers in a field in China? Okay, and this is one of those minds, like one of the most brilliant minds I've ever seen. Like, we just have to give her the tools so that she can have a stable life and just go thrive. She will make an excellent, whatever the fuck she wants to do, and she's going to employ herself so no one can fuck with her. Okay, and she deserves to thrive. She's brilliant. She's going to help victims. She's going to help like children. Whatever the fuck she's going to do, she's going to do great at it. She's brilliant. Okay, so just trust in me when I tell you it's not the Karen Reeds or Turtle Boys or Kate Peters of the world who deserve support. It's the Lindsay Gattanis. Okay, I'm just a conduit. Forget about me. Pull me back from all this. Lindsay Gattani just deserves to be able to thrive. What she does with that autonomy is up to her. Okay, she's brilliant. Let's help her. All right, everybody enjoying my sales pitch? I'm doing a good job. And it's authentic. She didn't yes, obviously, way like 12 months ago, she asked us to share this fundraiser, and like that's all I'm doing. But like what I'm telling you is my authentic experience. Okay, no one asked me to say this about Lindsay. I'm telling you this because this is what I experienced with my own eyes. All right? I'm not even speaking for her other than reading her letter. But I'm not speaking for her. I'm speaking for myself and what I've seen. All right? And if you like Little Towel, you support the work on this channel. Very rarely do we get to actually embody so many of these principles. Every single day we talk about small acts of service. So let's do this fundraiser for Lindsay Gattani today. Tanya says, Grant, if we don't have money, oh yes, absolutely. Is there another way we can support? Can we help build social media campaigns, build a toolkit, etc.? Yes. Okay, so what we have to be, obviously, we don't want anyone like, and Lindsay has to have the final say, and you don't want anyone who's like subversive. I know you're not, Tanya. I know everyone in this chat is well-meaning. But yes, if we want to start something where folks go on social media, the first thing we can do is, if you want to go on your Twitters right now, go ahead and share a link to that Give, Send, Go. Tell people what you heard. Make a post. She deserves it. That it costs you nothing. You know, I'll help you work on the post right now. We can do real-time drafting. All right, so pull up your social media. I know a lot of you have Twitters, and some of you are literally going to do this while I'm talking. Just pull up your Twitter. Forget about reposting me. I don't care. Take the Give, Send, Go link, put it in the Twitter post, and then write a post where you say, folks, Aiden Turtleboy Kearney is tormenting one of his victims in civil court. She has no support except for us, and she needs us. She helped get revenge porn banned in Massachusetts. She's a strong, brilliant, well-spoken individual who deserves unconditional support. And do a small act of service today. See what I'm saying? Whatever you want to say. Don't use my words. Use your own thoughts. But that's the best way we can start. And a toolkit would be great, Tanya. If you want to send along something. No, Colleen, she's not. She's not. Kate is pretending to be Lindsay's friend so that people won't criticize Kate, because Kate is one of the people who is actively harming Lindsay. So that's just, I want to let people know, Kate is presenting herself as a friend to deflect public criticism so she can be more of a successful like agent and undermine Lindsay. That's my opinion. So whenever you see Kate out there ostensibly presenting herself as Lindsay's friend, remember, Kate's not sharing the fundraiser. Kate's not really talking about Lindsay. Kate's primary motive is helping Jen McCabe and Brian Tully, in my opinion, okay? And so in that regard, anytime Kate talks about Lindsay, it's only for Kate's purposes. It's never to help her. It's never to make her, independent. It's to make her emotionally distressed so that when Kate makes an approach, Lindsay's more likely to just do whatever Kate says, and so Kate can get a lawyer in there or whoever that's working for Kate to undermine Lindsay's interests and protect Brian Tully and Jen McCabe and Kate. All right? So it's very high level. It's very manipulative, but I'm directly talking about it because if we want to break this spell, one, we have to talk about it, and two, we got to give Lindsay resources, right? No one is involved in the distribution of these funds except for Lindsay and the third-party payee. And there's a contract, which is also posted on social media, where Lindsay is the only one who can direct disbursement of the funds raised pursuant to this fundraiser. So this is how we help her, all right? And that's why Kate Peters so pissed right now, because she has no control. And that means she can't, it's not just she wants control for its own sake, she can't protect Brian Tully, herself, and the state police, which means liability, which means no Netflix documentary. That's what she's pissed about. Because for her, it's very selfish. She doesn't want to be exposed because in my opinion, she misleads people and hopes they don't figure it out. And then she gets embarrassed about it because that's what happens when you get caught. And then furthermore, she doesn't want liability because then Netflix can't make her the Charlotte of the internet. Okay? And Gretchen knows that. Gretchen's not an idiot. Gretchen's brilliant. Lindsay Gattani, Gretchen Voss, both very, very smart. Okay? Very, very smart. A little bit impressionable, both of them, but I love them both dearly. But Kate Peter targets people like Gretchen Voss and Lindsay Gattani. If she senses you're impressionable, she's going to fuck with you. If you want to deal with a Kate Peter, no, Kate Peter. No bullshitting a bullshitter. No. You say it right to her. Can't beat around the bush with somebody like Kate Peter. No, that's a dangerous mind. Same thing with Aidan Kearney, same thing with Brian Tully. You see somebody like that, you tell him, no. Nope. Don't pull your bullshit on me. Get your evil tricks out of here, you witch. You look him right in the eye, just like Karen. No, you cannot corrupt my soul. No, you may not manipulate me. Leave. It works. Can't bullshit a bullshitter. Not pretty authentic. They don't like me because I don't use their tactics to manipulate people. Well, fuck you too. Why would I do that? Anyway, so, yeah, imagine Towell as president of the United States talking to Putin. Excuse me, Mr. Putin. I'd like to talk a little bit about how some of the disaffected oligarchs that you were working with during your time as the KGB turned into the SVR after Perestroika in the 90s. I want to talk about, in particular, the dairy and the oil industries, Mr. Putin. And then leading up to the Moscow apartment bombings and the theater siege by the Chechens, I'd like to talk a little bit about what I know about some of those oligarchs and what they know about what you were doing with regards to those Chechen attacks. Then I want to talk about the centralization of power that you engaged in the Duma in 2008. Okay? And I don't want any bullshit about it. I know full well what you were up to. I'm well aware of where these people are, how some of them have been in the United States, and you're undermining the integrity of our intelligence community by engaging in this behavior. This is a theoretical thought exercise, okay? That is how I can do that with the president of the Russian Federation. I would feel absolutely not bad about it. I would not, my pulse rate might go up, but I'd be perfectly fine. I'd smoke a fucking blunt in his face and tell him to fuck the fuck off and be like, hey, bro, stop arresting people for this. You think you're so high and mighty. Fuck you, asshole. And then be like, fuck you, you bigot. I would not be very good in negotiations with Vladimir Putin on treatment of gay and bi people and the weed issue. I'd blow smoke in his face and be like, you're going to arrest yourself now, you fucking prick? Anyway, but on the actual issue of negotiating with somebody like Vladimir Putin, I would look him right in the eye and I would say, I'm fully aware that you're a fucking commie. All right, and I'm fully aware that you all centralized control after Perestroika via oligopolies, and that you have a bunch of disaffected oligarchs running around the world trying to overthrow you, and I'm going to help them if you don't stop, you fucking asshole. I would say it to his face. I would not be very diplomatic about it. That's how you have to deal with Kate Peter. You do not negotiate. You cannot negotiate with people like that. They will manipulate you. You must be direct. then you'll get their respect, and they won't fuck with you. I'm telling you. How do you fuck with somebody who's looking you in the eye and being like, okay, so I know the whole context of all of this. I've already told like half the government and half the newspapers, fuck with me. Like, okay, you can, but the story is already out there, bro. I'm not Michael Hastings. Like, I got it out there. I didn't like I've been through this before with the oligarch stuff in Curaleaf, and the government calling me and saying that their people were going to be physically harmed if I didn't take my story down. I know how to deal with this stuff. You don't scare me, any of you. Directly, Kate wouldn't even look me in the eye the last time I saw her. I stared at her for 4 minutes, being like, woman, look me in the eye. Do it. Karen Reed at least looked me in the eye. That's how I knew Karen Reed had more intelligence and balls than Kate Peter. Kate Peter wouldn't look me in the eye because she knew I was going to consume her soul, and that's exactly what I intended on doing. You see this look? Imagine it in person with me just staring into your eyes, and then you open those eyes. Okay, I'm going right into that soul, and I'm going to eat it. I'm going to consume it. And I wanted to. I don't do it often. I wanted to so badly that day. All I needed for her to look up, she was just sitting on a bench like this. And I was like, look up, you motherfucker. Look up. I couldn't say it to her because we were in the hallway of a courthouse. I was like, look up, you motherfucker. Do it. Do it. She knew she couldn't do it either because if she looked up, I was going to look into her fucking soul and eat her alive. And she wouldn't do it. Coward. Not to mention talk to me. Like, forget a negotiation. That coward wouldn't even look me in the eye. So, that's what I'm saying. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm trying to accomplish, and it's to help people unconditionally with no selfish motives. And I'm not like a ruthless person, but like I will spend 3 years. Like, look at the CCC audits and federal investigation. Like, I don't do any of that stuff, but if I really think you are using the power of the government to cover something up, I don't care who the fuck you are, I'm just going to stay on it, okay? And people listen to me, like, a lot. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't want the attention. I don't really care about it. But when I'm talking about it, they listen. So, and I'm going to use it to help the most vulnerable, and I'm not going to cover anything for anyone. Not happening. All right, if you hear me talking about it, it's because I truly believe it, and not only that, I believe that the people who are victimized, like, are speaking the truth, and that the people who are victimizing them are hiding in plain sight. And I look at my stories since 2018. Every single story is the same. I mean, different wording, but the theme is the same of every story. These are vulnerable people who are up against a very big system that is silencing them. Now read about it. Okay, how's that any different with Lindsay Gattani other than you happen to find someone I care a lot about? So, you're always going to get me at my best and I'm never going to stop. Those other stories, they come to a conclusion eventually. Like, this is partly my life. It's never going to come to a conclusion. You don't understand. You're never going to be able to make her have no resources. I think they tried to take her out, frankly. I think they tried to isolate her and make her take her own life. And it cost me dearly. I'm not going to talk about it. I don't need to yet. It cost me dearly in my professional life and in my academic life, which I did with pride, by the way. And I'm going to, for the rest of my life, write about that because I got screwed over really hard for what happened on that Friday. But I think when they released that phone extraction, they wanted her to kill herself. And she lived, okay? And I'm not bragging. That's a horrible thing that they did to her, but I wouldn't let them do it. Because I cared about her. I cared about her deeply, and I watched her on the ground in the fetal position from Thursday to Friday of that week, and I said, I have seen the face of evil, and I know Brian Tully and Kate Peter did it. I knew it from back then. I was begging the world to listen to me, and that will change you as a person, seeing something like that, regardless as to who it is. But that will change you fundamentally, and it will make you committed to something like you've never been committed to anything in your entire life, because the hopelessness, the agony, the trauma, the pain is something that it's either going to crush you or it's going to turn you into this relentless, ruthless force for justice. There's no other way around it. You're either going to be consumed by it or it's going to turn you into a crusader for justice. Because it's so painful. There's no way to process it. Like, the trauma is agonizing. I'm pretty sure I have been so traumatized by all of this that the only way I can process it is just by talking about it through news reports. And that's like my form of self-therapy. Okay? I didn't go through it, but I was there and witnessed it. Okay? She went through it we have to help her. Okay, and we have to help her no matter what Kate Peter wants, no matter what Brian Tully wants, no matter what the state police wants, no matter what Turtle Boy wants. We have to help her for her own sake. Okay, and let the chips fall where they may. She needs to be protected. Her interest needs to be protected, and she needs to get resolutions to all of this that are in her interest. Okay, because that's what should happen from the beginning. These people don't want that. They're going to work very hard to prevent it. We're going to be the counterforce. So we have a lot of good plans. And hold on. Who is calling Towel Live? This is not a call-in show. I told them not to bother me. I don't even let you say hello and try to do what you want to talk about. I just immediately will tell you, stop bothering me. Okay? Like someone, let me just make sure it's no one I actually know. No, it's not. If you call me, and I don't know the number, I will answer the phone. Before you can get a word out, I will say, stop bothering me, how dare you, and then I'll hang up. All right? So don't do that. Because then I will find out, like, even if you use a fake number, like, I can report it in such a way where I'm sure they'll find out who it is, and I'll take it as a threat, and I'll assume you're trying to prevent me from cooperating with some kind of investigation, and I will report you. So don't do that. Okay? Even if you're well-meaning, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, find a way to contact me first. Tell me you're going to contact me. Don't just contact me. That's a very bad idea. This is good. This is good. Hold on. What did you say? Grant, this is... What did you say? Grant, this is God. Nanya, who is God? Nanya, listen. I let everyone have their own faith. If you want to believe you're your own God, more power to you, my friend. You go right ahead and do that. All right, we're watching this Kate Peter video. Sorry. And then we're watching the video with Governor Healy. And then I think I've said enough, and then we'll play trivia. Okay? I had a lot to say today. All right? I literally had a lot to say. Thank you for indulging me. It wasn't about me. I just want you to support Lindsay. Wait a minute. Did someone send a donation for Lindsay? Oh, somebody did. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for the person who sent over that donation. I will forward it along. It was a $10 donation. Thank you so much. So any donations that you send, and let me just drop them one more time before we watch this video. Any donations you send with Lindsay's name in them, whether you write Lindsay Gattani, for Lindsay, Lindsay Anna Hart, any donations you send today, we might do this for like every stream. Any donations you send with Lindsay's name will go to her legal fundraiser. I'll either give them directly to the third-party payee, which then Lindsay's allowed to order to be distributed to her legal team if she gets one, or I will give them to the fundraiser. I think there's like a small fee, 1.something%. I don't know. Either way, I will get them to Lindsay. Any donations with Lindsay's name will go directly to her. So there's the information. If you want to send any donations, I already got one over the Cash App. I'll make sure to send that $10. If you send anything today, the best way to do it is the Give, Send, Go. Why? Because Lindsay then gets the notification. You can leave a comment for her. You can also, without donating, you can send a prayer on the Give, Send, Go. That's a great way. And then please, those of you who wanted to share on social media, absolutely go ahead. Yes, LS. So she started at zero with this new fundraiser. All of these new funds go to her current legal efforts, and one of the biggest ones is this ongoing civil case, the defense, and then whatever else she wants to do in the future. So yeah, Rosewater. No, that's not why I'm upset. It's because I know Gretchen Voss personally, and I think Kate Peter manipulated Gretchen because Kate didn't want Gretchen to find out about what Tully and Kate were up to. So it's not the. I don't give a shit. I told Sandpaper I don't want to be in it. Bro, they wanted my fucking footage. I was like, no. I'm not giving you my footage. Like, maybe when I find out like the direction your project's going, but I'm like, they don't have footage from the first trial. They needed my footage. I told them no, basically. I said like I would think about it because, like, first of all, I only really license my footage under Creative Commons, so I don't license my footage to commercial productions anyway. So I was like, I'm not going to give you a Creative Commons license to begin with. And second, I need to learn a lot more about this project before like I'm going to give you any of my footage. And then they followed up, but like right now I don't really feel comfortable. I'll consider talking to Zora. I'm not going to be in it. I'm telling listen, this may as well be a written contract where I'm telling you I am refusing to be in the Netflix documentary about the John O'Keefe, Karen Reed, and Turtle Boy cases. Okay, mark it down in history. You may as well deliver the message. I'll put it in writing. I will sign a contract. I am not going to be in that documentary. I'm turning it down. I've already turned it down. I'm going to continue to turn it down. Nothing will happen. I don't care if they get rid of Kate Peter from the documentary. I don't care if they want to make it about me. I will tell them no. Okay, I'm turning them down. They want to make it about Lindsay and the other impacted people. That's great. Even if Kate's not in it, I'm turning them down. Okay, I just want to let you know this is a verbal commitment. I will write it in writing. I will sign a contract. I'm not going to be in it. I'm just telling you, no matter what happens, I am not going to be in it. Why? Because I need to make a point that it's not about me at all. It's about there was some very serious things that happened to people I care about, including Gretchen Voss, and it was used to manipulate them, and I'm upset. It has nothing to do with me, and I will refuse to be in it, and they can't even have my footage because I don't want my logo in it. Okay? I'm not going to be in it. I'm very nice, Rosewater. Oh goodness, it's the pain that was endured by the victims. You know, it is so hard to reflect. For me, I'm a very loving and happy person, but when you see someone in the fetal position on the floor crying because the state police release, I think we can ban Rosewater. It might be Kate, but the state police with Kate Peters' help, releasing an unredacted extraction of Lindsay's phone. Like when I actually just thought back to that, like I realized I never really decompressed about that. That was one of the most painful things, and I didn't imagine. This is me just looking at Lindsay on the floor, trying to help her get through it. That was one of the most painful things I've ever witnessed in my entire life, and I think it is incredibly important. Yeah, so, but yeah, just to be clear, the smoking gun and Bossy Texas chick, I'll be able to confirm this for you. That unredacted extraction, the only thing Tully removed while it was in MSP custody with Nick Carino's help, and I know this for a reason, was messages from Tully to Lindsay and from Kate to Lindsay. So it's a smoking gun. It is what it is. Rosewater, we're not going to have you. Yeah, we're not just going to have you here. We don't allow. So I'll just deal with this. We don't allow any gaslighting. So bye, Rosewater. Oh, Colleen, they're not going to get a chance to do that. But I apologize to you on their behalf, my dear friend Colleen Henry. Buck, don't get riled up. I took care of the problem. I know Buck was getting angry. You don't upset Buck and Colleen Henry. Oh, Ola, you have nothing to feel ashamed for. Ola's like, oh, you want to mess with our chat? I love Ola. But let's watch this video, because I think Rosewater didn't want us to play this video of Kate Peter talking about how starting a rumor that was never around before she mentioned it of Colin Albert and Chris Albert selling drugs. And then it still spreads to this day. And Kate used the ostensible veneer of trolling Turtle Boy to really, I think, put a rumor out there that would be to the benefit of Jen McCabe. Sorry, I think that's what happened, and this is the proof.
This was 100% a fabrication out of my own mind. It is not rooted in reality at all. I sent this just to fuck with Aiden to prove that he does not vet information at all. He will run with any sort of gossip that bolsters his claims, and I want to prove this. So anyone who believes him should realize that a lot of this is getting sent out. I just went ahead and I emailed turtleboysports@gmail.com. I wrote based on a movie plot. This is based on a movie plot. You could do the same thing. He would probably run with it too. If anyone gets their fake stories mentioned by this schmuck, please email me. We'll have a prize for you. Listen to this.
All right. Yeah, and this is an honor. Like, I don't know who this person is, but I'm just going to read the email that I got out loud. All right, bear with me for a minute. Because, hi, I've been really scared to talk to anyone about this. And I know I'm not the only one. But I see you're keeping people anonymous, and I think it's important that people know. The problem that Colin Albert had with John O'Keefe was that Colin Albert sells pills and weed, and John knew about it because he lived across the street from one of Colin's friends who runs Colin. Colin's dad knows, and sometimes the drugs go through the pizza shop, from what I've heard. The whole Albert family makes money from it. I don't know, but that's that's what makes it a little far-fetched. Like, you're making the Albert family relies on marijuana sales and what other pill sales. Come on, like that sounds. I'm just reading the email from it, and I don't know if his Uncle Brian knows or not, but I think he probably does and explains why they're really covering it up. I have screenshots of Colin selling drugs because sadly, I have bought from him before. Well, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
So interesting.
So again, this person asked for anonymity. They will be granted it. Just to be clear, I have not said your name, and I'm not going to say your name.
Yeah, very trustworthy man.
You are
until you don't dance to what I tell you to dance
Oh,
to.
he said you're safe with me. Well, I don't want anonymity. I sent you that email, you dumb motherfucker.
Well then, all right. So we're gonna watch the governor's clip as well. But there's one thing I want to show Nanya. Is Nanya here? Hi, Nanya. Yeah, right, Nanya. You're not part of these friends of theirs. You know what I'm saying, bruh? Nanya, do you really want to be part of that group, though? It's a shady group of people, in my opinion. Let's take a look at this, though. I want to show this to Nanya, because Nanya, I don't hold it against you, bro, but, like, I don't know, you could have asked. And you don't have to. Like, you do whatever you want. But, like, let me just show you this, okay? Because it's, like, really not okay. You know, it's just really not. This is something Mike Crawford said. So, you know, Nanya, I realize, you know, you got to do what you got to do politically or whatever. But, like, he used to be a progressive. He's, like, he'll grift from grift to grift, in my opinion. You know, he just kind of will go whatever cause kind of, in my opinion, is, like, popular and what he thinks he can ride on, in my opinion. So, but that's him at his raw, all right? That's what he said. You know, we don't have to read it, but, you know, I didn't want to bring it up to, like, scold you. I just wanted to show you because I think when you read it, it's a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Don't worry. I left it up on the screen. Yeah, no, and I'm not, listen. I like Nanya. I'm not, I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, how do I want to do this? Like, I don't want to, like, send Nanya a DM. It's a little passive-aggressive. If I'm going to do it on stream, I don't want to do it to be like, Nanya, I think, like, I just want to be like, you should know about this, okay? Because, like, that's him. Like, that's Crawford at his raw, all right? What he doesn't want people to see, and, like, he wanted to hurt me physically and said it in writing, so... Steph, I think Kate pretends to be Lindsay's friend and, like, tries to project that she is, but I don't have any inside knowledge about whether, like, they're actually friends. I think it's more like Kate needs to, like, keep her close, kind of. Like, that's what I think happens, but I don't know. I have no insight about it. But yeah, so I'm just bringing it up because, yeah, no, Bossy Texas Chick, we're talking about Mike Crawford now. But also, so you got to think, Bossy Texas Chick, in the fall of 2023, that's when Kate was employed by Marty Kraft, all right? I know she was working for him then, all right? So that's why I kind of think that was the first op they ran, the Colin Albert and Chris Albert thing, and then they went to Lindsay's phone extraction because they needed a bigger distraction. You know, it all kind of lines up. And listen, it's not on me to prove it. I'm not the government. I'm not in the government. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not your lawyer. None of this is legal advice. Like, these are potential things that need to be investigated, and then you have to prove it. So, like, I built the foundation from my reporting, but I'm not the government, okay? What the feds want to do, I have no idea, all right? I don't speak for them. I don't speak to them. I don't want to be involved. I report things as I see fit. That's my right as an American. You have to make reports that are in good faith or they won't even listen to you. They still listen to me when I make reports, so that should tell you that my reports are not vexatious. So I don't know what to tell you. They got to prove it, but, like, I think what happened was in the fall of 2023, like, the Norfolk DA and Brian Tully were already employing Marty Kraft, and he just hired Kate Peter. And that's why you had people involved in this prosecution who were Kate Peters' kind of like friends online, you know, like it was an op, and I'm sure there was some money flowing around. You have to remember in, I think it was the spring of 2024, Kate Peter met up with me at a Chick-fil-A parking lot. She wanted to, like, she wanted to have a conversation with me. She sat with me in the car for like 3 hours, okay? And then I saw a Toyota Corolla. She said she was waiting for a white Toyota Corolla to pull up. I saw her get out of the car. She was in my car. She got out of the car, walked over to the Toyota Corolla, came back, and this had to be on purpose because she's smart enough to hide it. She didn't have to be so flagrant. She could have just said, oh, I'm picking something up from someone. Came back to the car, opened the white envelope to show a green thank you card with yellow lettering on the front, I believe. I believe it was a green thank you card with yellow lettering. She opened it to the inside. There was no writing on the inside. There was some text printed on the left side. Might have just been like thank you, like printed on the card, not in writing, but like actually typed on the card from when it was sold. And then inside the card were bills. Okay, there were $100 bills. There was at least 3 to 4 of them. There were 50s. There was at least 4 to 6 of them. There were 20s. There was like 10 to 20 of them. All unsequential, because I was reading the bill numbers to see if they were stupid enough to have withdrawn them from like sequential money, because then if I remembered one of the bill numbers, I could find out where the money was withdrawn, and then we don't need to go into that. But the point is, not me, but I could facilitate or report something that could probably lead to someone figuring out where that money was withdrawn. But I was looking at the serial numbers. They were all disordered, so they probably got them from ATMs. They didn't get them from a teller. They were not in sequential order, the bills, but it was like $750. She was doing that without saying it to show me what I could get if I had been willing to work with her. Now, I'm autistic, okay? So first of all, in the moment, I was like, hey, good for you, like whatever. I didn't realize it was like her making an approach. But I turned it down anyway. Like, I know, like that's impossible. Like, if you profiled me at all, you would know if you try to do that to me, I'm going to be like, fuck you, I'd rather starve. And so it didn't work. But I saw her do it to me. So she flashed cash in front of me to try to bring me in on some opt, and she would do it to other people, and there was money flowing around. Okay, I know there was. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know what I saw. I'm a good reporter. I'm a very authentic person. I've withheld a lot to protect people, as is my right. But I also have disclosed what I experienced, and I know what went down here. All right. And it was a targeted operation. It was all like linked together, and it all centered primarily around pressuring Aidan Kearney to flip on Karen Read to guarantee a subsequent indictment, because I think they thought she might get off on the murder charge for John O'Keefe, which she did. They were right. They overcharged. Even though you could have, under the third prong of the second degree malice murder theory, you could have gotten her. Lally almost got her on 9-3 on count 2 on the first trial, but I think they knew she was going to get off, so they were trying to get a subsequent indictment to get her, because they wanted to charge her again. And they saw Aidan Kearney as the key to that, and they did whatever it took, and whatever it took meant compromising the chain of custody and a bunch of the evidence, despite Aidan Kearney's bad behavior, which could have been proven notwithstanding Kate Peter being involved in the evidentiary process. And as a result, because they thought these charges were never going to go to trial, because they probably profiled Kearney and thought he would flip if they pressured him enough, they got it wrong. He held firm. Like, there was a lot of incentives for him to hold firm, his relationship with Karen, the money, etc., etc. They should have known he wasn't going to flip. He never flipped. Now they're left holding the bag for a case that's compromised because of prosecutorial misconduct. It's going to be apoplectic, and Lindsay Gattani was not some part of this scheme. She was a victim of it. And, like, that's what Aidan's kind of pissed about. I think he's like, well, fuck, brah. Like, she did get fucked, like, over. And now he's like, oh, well, like, what do I do? Because, like, he did bad things to her, and then Tully and Kate did bad things to her, and Aidan now is in this really precarious position, in my opinion, because what Tully and Kate did to Lindsay without Lindsay's knowledge really helps Aidan, but it also really hurts Aidan, because he's got to make a choice. He needs to either make the decision to frame correctly Lindsay as a victim in all of this, and then his charges go away, or... You know what I'm saying? So he continues like fighting the charges and doesn't press on Tully and Kate's culpability for compromising the evidentiary chain. So basically, it helps Aidan Kearney, although it's going to piss him off, to basically correctly convey that Lindsay Gattani was not part of some scheme to set him up, but was victimized by Brian Tully and Kate Peter. That then gives Aidan the grounds to get his stuff dismissed. It could get refiled, but like that's what's weird about all this. So Aidan must feel in this really precarious position because Lindsay Gattani, the veracity of her claims, including her saying Aidan did bad things to her, thus gives him a way out of the criminal charges. Like, he's never going to be able to do it without people understanding this whole context I just told you, but he's basically forced to do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the position he's in. That's why you could tell Bradel was so weird in court the other day with how he was responding. He didn't know what the fuck to do. He's so outmatched here by all of this stuff. He's just trying to keep his head above water. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I think Kearney's cornered, and that's why Kate's fucked. I think the Norfolk DA already gave Kate and Tully and Kraft up anyway. I think actually the Norfolk DA and Kraft gave Kate and Tully up because they have more power than them. But anyway, that's why I think Kate Peter threatened the Norfolk DA on Twitter a few weeks ago. We've been talking about this a lot on the stream, and then that leak about Marty Kraft came out the next day. It's all tied together. You know what I'm saying? There was a fracture, a fissure in that group, and Kate Peter and Tully got left holding the bag. And so they wanted to leave Lindsay Gattani holding the bag. Oops. Nice try. Nice try. Sorry, Kate and Tully. Sorry. Shouldn't have done that. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. You look at these vulnerable women in Turtle Boy's orbit as fucking playthings, you people, and it pissed me off. I'm talking about Kate and Tully and Aiden, too. You treat these women like they're disposable. You treat these women like they're objects for pleasure. You treat these women like they're chess pieces, like literally pawns on a chessboard with no use to you except for being able to move in one or two directions until you sacrifice them to move your larger pieces. I really don't like it. I really don't like it. Forget about making her a princess. I'll make her a damn queen. Just to stop you from doing that. Then she can move all over the fucking board, and then you're all fucked. How about that? Every girl deserves to be a princess, but her in particular. Hey, if Sherlock can call Irene Adler her, I can call Lindsay Gattani her, and you're not going to stop me. So, but that's what I'm saying. So, sorry, Nanya, if I missed your response. Hold on. What did I say? What happened? I would vote for you if you ran for governor. Yeah, I don't know if the liberals want me. I'm a jerk and I'm a towel. Says it all gets dismissed. No, that's not the end of it, Nanya, because it really depends on the procedural mechanism. I'm not a lawyer. That's not legal advice. If the charges get dismissed without prejudice, which is likely here because trial hasn't started, double jeopardy hasn't attached, if it just gets dismissed without prejudice, they just refile with a new MSP unit who doesn't talk to Kate Peter and Jen McCabe. If they do that and the evidence is just properly handled, I think I don't know the statute of limitations, probably 6 years, I would guess. They just refile. It's not. There's no double jeopardy. They can just refile. They could drop and refile right now, sua sponte. I'm pretty sure the judge has to approve it, but they can refile as long as it's dismissed without prejudice. In fact, I'm not a lawyer, this is not legal advice. The smartest thing the Commonwealth could do right now is sua sponte on their own accord, move to dismiss without prejudice, and then refile. If you move to dismiss, if you're the state, and you move to do it without prejudice, and the judge grants it, because you're the moving party and you meet your burden, and it's very easy under the prosecutorial discretion standard to have a case dismissed if you want it, you have leave to refile. As long as you get it dismissed, like voluntarily, without prejudice, you have leave to refile. There's nothing barring recharging. Nothing. The only way it would be barred is if double jeopardy attached, which doesn't attach until I think jurors are impaneled or begin deliberations. It's way farther down the line than we are, though, whatever it is. But it doesn't attach. So, yeah, that's what could happen. So a princess wedding is expensive. One more video clip, because I know some of you think I like to joke around a little bit, but I'm a serious reporter sometimes, in the sense that if I really want to get something done, I'll just go to the governor and talk to them. So let's take a look at this. All right, let's take a look at this. Okay, I'll show you a little towel asking Maura Healey a question. Governor Maura Healey, of course, was one of the instrumental figures in passing the revenge porn law. Now you want to see Governor Healey's remarks and then the press conference? Let's do it. And then we'll play trivia, then we'll watch Sherlock Holmes. It's a watch-along stream anyway. So, is that towel in the front row of the press conference? Damn right. Did towel get screened by the press team and allowed to be in the front row? Because there were like a lot of security there, but it was me and then the entire governmental apparatus. They were 3 feet from me. You have to have a lot of trust. They do a background check on you before you even get to sit there. I passed. I'm a little towel.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. We're here to sign an important bill, an act to prevent abuse and exploitation. Among other things, the bill criminalizes the non-consensual sharing of explicit images, and it expands the definition of abuse to include coercive control. These are important historic steps in our state's commitment to preventing violence and harassment and holding perpetrators accountable. I want to thank the legislators in the House and the Senate who worked so hard to get this legislation done. To Senate President Spilka, I thank you for your leadership and your advocacy. To Speaker Mariano, who cannot be here today, Chair Michaelwitz, Chair Rodrick's, Senator Keenan, Representative Mike Day, who led the conference committee. We are grateful to all of our legislators as well. Representative Higgins and members of the Sexual Violence Task Force of the Caucus of Women Legislators. Vilma Arube, who leads this work for us as the Executive Director of the Governor's Council to address sexual assault, domestic violence, and human trafficking. And all of the advocates who joined us today and who've been in this building advocating to get this done. Most of all, we thank you, Shakira, who we're going to hear from in a little bit, and Caitlin and all the survivors who are with us. You made history, and you've done it in the most powerful way possible by telling your stories and lifting your voices and turning your pain into action. So we are inspired by your strength and your courage, and we thank you for your patience and your effort in getting this done. Look, I come to this as a former Attorney General and a prosecutor, and now as governor, and we know that there have been gaps in laws and policies in this area. We also know that this is a new area in the sense of AI and what is being enabled out there, particularly, stories continue to be told about young people and what's happening too in this space. And so I really appreciate the decisive action taken by the legislature. It's an honor to be able to stand here and support and sign this into law, because it is legislation that takes necessary and decisive steps to update, to modernize, and to strengthen laws to protect residents of the state. The law also provides, importantly, in addition to some updates to criminal statutes, the law also provides what we all know and believe is important: educational programming for young people. The need for them to understand how harms can occur, why they're wrong, how to recognize and avoid participating and perpetuating that harm. This law is about stopping violence and stopping harassment, and it also recognizes that harassment and abuse is not just physical, it's coercive behavior, and this is a space where we have seen some of the ugliest, most dehumanizing, derogatory conduct when it comes to coercive behavior. So we've got to do everything we can to eliminate violence, harassment, abusive control, coercion from our communities, and that's what we have now done. And again, I'm grateful to the legislature for their hard work in getting this done. And I'll now invite our Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll to share a few thoughts.
All right, so I'm Atal, and I just want to reassure folks everything is okay. Folks are allowed to have their different styles and personalities, and we're going to respect each and every one of their decisions. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you the press conference with Governor Healy, and then after that press conference, we will go ahead and do Tal Trivia. All right, so everybody is allowed to have their opinions. We talked about some very intense topics today, and I appreciate you all indulging me. It was a wild few days. I needed that decompression. And, part of this sort of vocation, I suppose, or being a public information service, is you are sometimes going to cover things that are intense. And you have a duty to the people involved, to yourself, to the principles of the vocation, to do so in a respectful way, to do so in an even-handed, impartial, and more so than anything else, deliberate way. So I try very hard to do that. We had some moments today where different people voiced their perspectives, in particular about that abhorrent language used by Michael Gaffney on social media, Kate Peters' friend there, about Lindsay. Okay, so, and I totally understand the feedback. If we do need to talk about those kind of virulent comments in context to point out something, I will continue to try to provide a warning. So in particular to Vicky, please know I totally understand where you're coming from. my dear friend. And if we do have to talk about something like that again in the future, I will make sure that there is a warning for that. Okay? So that's thing one. Thing two is let's watch the press conference with the governor, then let's play towel trivia, and then we can all decompress, okay? Everyone take deep breaths. Everyone continue to be little towels, and I'll be happy. Okay, here we go. So listen to Little Towel. This circles back, by the way, just in case you're someone out there who's using alt accounts or might be spreading revenge porn, take a listen to how the governor feels about anyone who it might be brought to her attention is doing that. And I want to remind you, you cannot get within 1 feet of the governor with the entire press pool unless you get screened, and you must know people at the governor's office. I'm holding that camera, okay? Madam Governor, do you have a message to anyone who might think about testing this new law?
Don't. You know, look, and I will say as a former prosecutor and attorney general, this kind of behavior is deeply dehumanizing, destructive, and we're going to make sure in Massachusetts that we hold perpetrators accountable, and people should be on notice right now. And we're going to also work to educate our young people who need to understand both the serious harm caused and also the serious ramifications. So, you know, it's important because it's also important that we recognize and speak to and address what we call coercive control. You can have control, abuse, exploitation that does not involve physical harm, but is no less harmful. And that's what is also really important about this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. So, I just want to tell you, like, she knows about this. She was going to remember me asking her that. I will brief her staff and say, okay, I'm going to come to a press conference and I'm going to ask her about reports that there are people that are testing the revenge porn law using fake alternate accounts on social media. She is the commander of the state police. That woman right there, the governor, Maura Healey, she's the commander of the state police. Yes, it is technically the colonel. Who do you think the colonel answers to in the chain of command? The governor. That is the person who makes the decisions, okay? That's the person who's going to have to make the call on whether Brian Tully's going to get fired. Well, really, it'll be the hearing board, but she'll sign off, and Noble. That is also the person who is going to get on her desk the fallout of all this, right? Who do you think approves all of the political fallout of all this, how they're going to settle it, how they're going to deal with the liability for the extraction? It's her. It's Madam Governor and Andrea Campbell. You cannot get to them. You can't. You can have people in their office, but whatever, you can't get to them. They're smart. They're the highest politicians. They're the highest constitutional officers in the state. Outside of the Senate President and the Speaker of the House, they are the most powerful politicians in Massachusetts. You cannot get to them. You can't. So when it comes on their desk, they're going to look at it, and the only thing they're going to be thinking about is what is the way to best insulate the interests of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. That's how they think. They're politicians. So they're not going to care about their own interests, their people's interests. That's not what they do when that type of stuff comes down. They have to make a decision about what's in the best interest of the people of Massachusetts, and you cannot spend 5 years litigating discovery about this cell phone extraction. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. You can't, and you won't. I know how these people think. I've talked to their staff. I've talked to them in a lot of cases. I know. I literally just talked to the governor on film. You saw it. I know how they think. They're going to see this, and I know what the facts are, okay? I know what the facts are, and I know what the implications are of those facts, in my opinion. They're going to see it and be like, settle this right now. Get rid of this. This is devastating. This is really bad. This is really, really bad. Settle it. They're going to have to. They don't have a choice. The only thing Kate and Tully can try to do is influence Lindsay's ability to get a lawyer that would effectively be able to represent her interests, because that would protect the state police from what they know is inevitable, which is liability for what Tully did. Do you see what's going on here? Can't win on the facts, can't win on the law, try to subvert the case. That's obstruction of justice. And if you're the state police trying to protect your own, you're not going to charge anyone. Madam Governor is going to be like, oh, fuck. Like, what happened to reforming this organization? Settle. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice, but I know how she thinks. Okay? I know how she thinks. She knows this is coming to her desk. She knows it's bubbling up. Her people are on all of this. They're very smart. They know what people are saying. They know how she's involved. They know where the buck stops. They know where the decision. They know procedurally how all this works. And who do you think is already thinking about this? Okay? That's my opinion. So therefore, you have all these different interconnected forces, but where the buck stops is if you can't prevent, if Lindsay Gattani gets enough resources, which God willing, I will help her do, to retain an independent legal team that Kate Peter, Brian Tully, and Turtle Boy can't corrupt, then the liability first falls with the state police and Brian Tully and Kate Peter. Once that's dealt with, the liability for some of this falls to Aidan Kearney. Once that's dealt with, there's other people who were helping them, okay? That's the real lawsuits, in my opinion, that are going to come out of this. I don't think Jen McCabe's ever going to sue Turtle Boy. She doesn't want to go through discovery with him. Same thing with some of the other people. I don't think they want to sue. The only person who's ever going to end up pursuing justice against Turtle Boy is going to be Lindsay Gattani, and it's going to end up also being the pursuit of justice against Brian Tully and Kate Peter, which is why we have to support her. Kate's going to have her people out there gaslighting, manipulating people, attacking Lindsay. And it's all because at the root of it, the real people who should be held accountable are Turtle Boy, Kate Peter, and Brian Tully. And so Kate and Turtle Boy have this perverted interest in making sure Lindsay only says certain things so that both of them are not held accountable in a court of law. Do you see how Kate and Aidan's interest overlap a little bit too? It's this really sick world where, like, the enemy of your enemy is your friend, the friend of your enemy is your enemy. It's fucked up, all right? It's intelligence community stuff. Regular people should not have to deal with this. Most humans do not have to deal with this. Lindsay shouldn't have to deal with this. Let's help her. Something feels like it's bubbling up. Everyone is on edge in this whole world. Something feels impending. Oh, yeah, Tal knows what it is, too. Oh, yes, my dear friend. And God bless you for your support. Oh, Tal channel. All right, we're going to play trivia now. You're so right, though. Tanya Vincent is a huge supporter of this channel. God bless you, Tanya. Tal loves you so much. Thank you. You're always... Tanya, for months, by the way, and I know some of you too, Steph and Allie and Bunny and Bossy Texas Chickabella, you have listened to me for months, and I will never be able to express, and Nanya, you too, my gratitude to you for everything that you have done. Even if you didn't disagree with me on certain things, you all have just stuck it out in this chat, all right? You've listened to me. You've given me a chance to air out my perspective, and I'm so grateful for that. You know how much it helps me mentally to just be able to say my truth as I feel? It has changed my entire life. It's not just the compassion and camaraderie, even though I do a bad job when I get busy of following up with people, sometimes to my detriment, as Steph knows, but then I talk to Steph, and Steph and I still haven't talked directly, but I like on our Zoom that I want to do, but at least Steph knows why I wanted to talk to her last week, and then everything else made more sense. But the point is, and this is Steph from Canada, the point is that you all help me. I don't even know if you realize it, more than you know, just by showing up, just by talking to each other, talking it through with me. There are no easy answers to any of this. I'm not standing up here and telling you I have all the answers. I don't want you to follow me. I want you to think for yourself, okay? And I want you to come to believe what you think is the truth and act on it. I'm encouraging you to act from a place of compassion, doing small acts of service and the pursuit of justice, but I'm not going to tell you how to feel. Anyone's welcome here as long as they don't gaslight, be derogatory, discriminatory, sea lion, or otherwise, and as long as they're not Kate Peter. Anyone is welcome here. Aidan can't be here either. I don't like him. Neither of those people can be here. Brian Tully can't be here either. You hear that, Brian? You're banned. Brian Tully is banned from this channel. Preemptively. You can believe whatever you want. All right? As long as you do it in good faith, as long as you're nice to people here. I don't care what you believe. I want you to think for yourself, and I'm just honored that you listen to what I have to say. All right? Because I think it's important. I think that it's not important for me. It's just there are people here who deserve to have their voices heard, and there's some really bad stuff that happened that has not fully been addressed. And I do think Tanya is right when she says that a reckoning is coming. Something's in the air, and it is big. Like, it started last week with the discovery about Tully and Kate and Jen McCabe's deleted messages from February of 2022, and it's just going to keep going. The Jessica Leslie situation. Listen, tell me, I heard some people talking about that Jessica Leslie situation. If you didn't see her get smuggled out of that courthouse twice by the FBI, you have no idea what you're talking about. All right? Even the people in the courtroom, I don't think really understood the intense dynamics of that situation. Everyone knows. Shelley Murphy does it from the Globe, doesn't just cover things. Everyone knows something big is coming. Everyone's ready for it. Everyone knows that it's very important. And we are the type of reporters, like, think, there's very specific reporters on this. Shelley Murphy, me, John Hall. okay, when it's very specific reporters who have been around, like I've been around for 1/3 the time that John Hall and Shelley Murphy have been around. I've been around since 2017, so 8 years, all right? They have like 30 years, 20 to 30 years of tenure on me. When us three, and by the way, we are all very respectful. The entire apparatus knows who everybody is within the media. All of us know who each other are. When us three are on something, okay, we have reputations, each of us, of being very diligent. Shelley Murphy's reputation is one of being one of the original Whitey Bulger reporters outside of Dick Layer and Gerard O'Neill, okay? And John Hall has the reputation of being the best investigative, probably television journalist in Massachusetts, okay? Multiple time award winners, both of them. When you have Shelley Murphy, John Hall, and me in a courtroom covering a federal case, it's a big deal, okay? And when you have us all baffled by the procedure of taking the witness or the defendant, a federal defendant, hi Bob Alessi, out of the courtroom under FBI protection, which by the way, I'm telling you, I know it was FBI protection, okay, the father in particular, then something's going on. I don't know what. It's not my job to figure out what. I care so much about this system. I don't want to get involved. I didn't publish a video of Jessica Leslie's father on purpose, despite being the only person in the world who has it, because I don't care about that stuff. I'm weighing it against the integrity of the system, and whoever the hell Jessica Leslie is cooperating against is powerful. They're powerful. They have money, and they must also be able to physically threaten if she's under FBI protection. Okay, I don't think we're ever going to see Jessica Leslie again after she takes her plea. I think she's going to go into WITSEC, and the next time we're going to see her is like at a federal trial for someone. Okay, I just want you to write that down. I fully believe we're never going to see Jessica Leslie again after they're going to have to figure out a plea Judge Talwani will accept. Okay, but once they do, we're never going to see her again. She's going to plea and cooperate, and we're going to see some massive fucking indictments. She's going to be the cooperating witness, one of them. And then we're going to see, the next time we see her will be at trial under WITSEC, and they won't show her face. Even when you go into court, she might be behind a screen, and she will be in a different place with a different name, and they will do plastic surgery, and she will not exist. I'm telling you, write it down. I know what it looks like. I've never experienced it in person, but I've read the documents. I've read a lot of declassified documents. I know how this is done. I understand what they're doing. Jessica Leslie is a cooperating witness, in my opinion. This is my analysis, again, from firsthand reporting at the courthouse. I'm not speculating. She is protected because they're just setting up the plea so she will cooperate, and part of the cooperation is WITSEC, and we are never going to see her again. That's why she doesn't walk out of the courthouse. They already are preemptively planning to disappear her, like to protect her. Okay, so if that's what they're doing for Jessica Leslie, who is a relatively minor player and that's saying something in this, imagine what they might have to do for Lindsay. Like, I don't think there's a very real chance, and this is why I'm already preparing for it, like, maybe they'll take me, I don't know, but there's a very real chance like they're gonna have to do that for her too. Okay, and we're never gonna see her again because, and this is probably healthiest for her, because Kate Peter or Tully or somebody will keep trying to get to her. They're just gonna have to move her and her whole family, and same thing with some of the other people in her orbit who have been trying to get to her. Like, it's too much corruption. It's too dangerous. They're going to have to move her. That's my opinion. And we'll never see her again in public, but she'll be protected for life, which is what she needs, frankly. Like, I don't love it. Okay, I don't love that that's where this is going, but that's probably what has to happen. And I bet Jessica Leslie didn't love getting this talk either, but that's the reality of it, you know. But it, you know, like, the federal case builds a foundation for civil cases. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. So, like, you know, but they got to, because she's such a key witness, and I think they're already watching. I'd have no reason to confirm it or deny it, but I'm telling you, I think they're already watching. Like, I just get the sense, I don't know when they're going to formally like put her in like WITSEC, but I think her and Jessica Leslie are going to end up being like the key cooperators in the federal probe that comes out. I don't know what the fuck it's going to be about, but there may be a point where we don't ever see her again, which is for the best. Like, I think she probably can't even stay in contact with some of us. It's heartbreaking, but like, we're never going to see her again. Which is good. She'll have a life. She will be able to go live somewhere, probably on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and she'll be supported by the government, hopefully. Like, that's how WITSEC works, and she'll have a new identity. No one will ever know who she was before, and no one will ever find her. Ever. And that's what should happen. And I'm not saying this because I want her to leave. I love her dearly. but like that's what might have to happen. You know, it's just the reality of the situation, and that is what might happen to Jessica Leslie as well. I can already see it. Like, you don't hide someone from the media unless the reason is that they're eventually going to go into WITSEC, and so there's no images current of them, so that if you have to do plastic surgery, it's much harder to track because you only have outdated images from her in college or like on the internet that aren't even very accurate, and then you can't use facial modeling to find her. I'm telling you, if they put her in WITSEC, you will never find Jessica Leslie on purpose, and that's how it should be. You will never find Lindsay if they put her in WITSEC, which probably will happen in my opinion, or should. I'm just analyzing this. That's how serious this stuff is. And I'm telling you, I'm not speculating about Jessica Leslie. I watched it. I fucking watched it happen. I sat there. I know who I was with in the back of the courtroom. In the back of the courthouse. I saw Jessica Leslie's father. I have a picture of it. I blanked it out when I shared it. I know who he walked to that garage with. I know who walked him into the garage and then walked him out of the garage. I didn't report on any of this. I won't be describing them. I know which of those people was in the courthouse and where they were sitting because I have a photographic eidetic memory. I'm well aware that they're protecting her as they should be. I'm just imploring them to protect Lindsay Gattani as well, and that's really the most appropriate outcome. All right? I hate it, but for her, it's the best. And sometimes what's right is not necessarily what we want, but what's best for the person, and that's what's best for her. I'm not going to make it happen, but like if that happened, I would be crying, but I would not be really upset. I'd be very happy for her because she deserves that, and that's the only way she's ever going to be protected. You cannot protect someone like that unless you put them in federal WITSEC, and that's what might have to happen. That's probably already happened to Jessica Leslie. All right, let's play towel trivia. Who's ready for towel trivia? Oh, absolutely, Allie. You are allowed to express yourself, my dear friend. I'll never hold that against you. I think we want to play towel trivia, though. And then we're going to watch Sherlock Holmes episode. Did you know I got a pizza for lunch? So I went to CVS yesterday. I found this coupon in my pocket, and it said 40% off a single item before August 17th or something. And I said, well, that's like $4 if I buy a $10 item, and I haven't been doing great recently, so I'm always looking for ways